Welcome back to another episode in the Aquila 32 Sport Owner Experience Series. In this video, we'll document our trip from New Bern back to Elizabeth City with a stopover in Belhaven. This has been our first long journey on the boat, which will cover 4 days by the time we're back home, and it's been a roller coaster of emotions, from wonder and excitement, to nervousness, to being scared, to thankfulness. This trip has been an eye-opener and a fabulous learning experience and is the first of what we hope to be many to come. After a wonderful night at the Harvey, we picked up some breakfast in town before setting off to Belhaven. The plan is to spend the night there on the boat and maybe check out the town. Our last visit there was on a Sunday and nothing was open. Tuesday should be better, right? We departed on another absolutely perfect day with about a 4-hour estimate to arrive in Belhaven. Our trip would take us up the Neuse River, through Goose Creek, and across the Alligator River. Taking advantage of the smooth water, our pace was quick coming out of New Bern. Rounding the bend on the Neuse River, the smooth conditions continued. I took advantage of some homemade chili G had made for the trip, and she took over the helm. She's a good captain and very observant, and that's a good thing. I love watching her learn the paces on the boat. I want her to know everything that I know, and having a good partner on the boat is super valuable and gives both of us a tremendous peace of mind. Coming up on the canal, it was time again to slow it down and just take it all in.
So fast, I thought you were giving your words to me. I'm strong on you. Now I know what I came here for, holding you close to me.
The rest of the journey to Belhaven was a non-event with calm waters and sunny skies. After getting checked in, it was about time to mosey into town and check out a place to eat. Last time we were here, it was Sunday, and nothing was open. Today is Tuesday. And this is what it looks like at 6 p.m. That's right, it's supper time, and it's worse than Sunday because not even the tavern is open on Tuesdays. We found an old diner a little ways up the road, and it's definitely not worth going to. So on Tuesdays in Belhaven, order a pizza to be delivered to your boat, and then head to the local brewery, which seems to always be open, and the folks there are very friendly. Lots of beer choices, and Coke for me. We spent the night on the boat, and the water was very calm, so it was a nice night. This wouldn't be the case in the morning. We wanted to head out early as the forecast winds were projected to be out of the northeast at 12, gusting to 25. This was going to turn the Sound into a bathtub. Our last morning in Belhaven, a little bit overcast, a little light sprinkle here and there. Never got our hot water problem fixed. Ready to go. Got to get a pump out, and then we're going to be on our way. Interesting story. This tuna, I think it is, or Juna, whatever it is, that boat was sunk almost when it was new. And the electrician that worked with us yesterday, they were responsible for bringing the boat back up. There is a little mouse headed to the boat. We'd seen 2 and 3 foot seas and maybe pretty sure 4 feet before. However, what we were about to face was something new. After getting a pump out, we were on our way. Coming out of Belhaven, the weather was cloudy with periodic sprinkles. The wind was already starting to kick up. I wasn't worried about the first leg through the Pungo River and the Canal, as we would be well protected by the land. I was concerned about what the Alligator River and the Sound would look like. The waves in the Alligator River were a little rough, but not overly so, maybe 2, occasionally 3 feet. Going slow made for a pretty bumpy ride, but since the waves were pretty close together, I tried a strategy of going faster to kind of skip across the top. 26 mile an hour made for a pretty good ride. We saw several southbound motor yachts, and I reached out to them to get an update for the conditions on the Sound. The response was nearly identical from 2 of them. It's twice as bad, they said. I figured it would be the same as the river, given a near true northbound heading. There had to be something that I was missing. I want to address what I call a windy toilet bowl problem in the Sound. I'm on the Outer Banks of North Carolina. The nor'easters, since we don't see many hurricanes, are the most frightening thing for us. Heading northbound on the Albemarle Sound, when the winds are out of the northeast at 12 gusting to 30, creates that toilet bowl effect, where the waves are coming mostly out of the northeast but are also sloshing. They're unpredictable because of the shallow depth of 15 to 20 feet. Wave heights can be 3 to 5 feet, and that's what we were about to experience. After crossing the Alligator River Bridge, the waves almost immediately started to pick up. We had 13 miles of crossing before we could get to the mouth of the Pasquotank River. It got really rough. The waves were unpredictable. Faster resulted in hard slams on the bow that I wasn't comfortable with, and slower resulted in waves over the bow. For my wife's sake, I tried to keep a brave face, but when she asked if we should put on our life vests, I knew she was scared. We both put on the life vests, and I tried an 8 mile an hour pace. After about a half mile of wave after wave going over the bow, I reached my limit. I wasn't sure what the boat could take, but I was done. I turned the boat around and we started heading back to the Alligator River. I'd resigned myself to docking at the Alligator River Marina. The winds were forecast to be the same for the next 3 to 4 days, so we'd have to leave the boat and find an Uber to get back home. And then once everything calmed down, we'd have to Uber back to the boat and then go home. About then, my wife spoke up and she saw what she thought were boats along the southern shoreline of the Albemarle Sound just outside the mouth of the river and asked if we could go that way. It wasn't boats, it was barges. And barges aren't in deep water, they're in very shallow water. You know, though, God gives us wives to make us think. And I'm convinced that I got it dandy. I looked at the map and I saw that going westward, the sound narrowed. The winds were so forceful from the north, I knew that if I could just get close enough to the leeward shoreline on the north, that the waves would calm down and we'd be protected. So I made a plan to hug the southern shoreline as long as possible until the waves were manageable and I could see land on the north shore. As a pilot, my mind's been programmed to get permission to pass through areas marked on a map. This one's called an MOA, or a MOA, Military Operations Area. On this map, my new path looked like this, and I would have to pass through this warning area. So I called the Coast Guard on the radio and asked if it was cold, meaning not in operation. And they confirmed that it was. But they said I had to stay out of the restricted areas. Well, the map said they were warning areas, so off we went. The waves were tough on the beam, but when we could see the north shore, the waves were only in the 3 and maybe sometimes 4 foot range. We stayed about 100 meters offshore in an area that said it was only about a foot deep. However, I saw a line of crab pots in the exact path that I wanted to take, and I knew the crab pots wouldn't be in a foot of water, so I followed them until I could see the north shore. And indeed, the depth stayed between 3 and 5 feet. This may be repetitive, but here's the actual video after we made our northbound turn. The audio is not the best, but I basically explained what you just saw. So the waves were too much for us. We were trying to go across the sound right in here. We were 4 and 5 feet, and our bow was getting stuck. So my wife had the brilliant idea as we were headed back toward the Alligator Bridge, maybe coming along here and following along this coastline. So we did that, and we've got ourselves a better opening here. We got a little deeper in here. There's a warning area for ammunition and so forth, and so we called the Coast Guard, and they said there was no activity but to avoid restricted areas. This is a warning area. We just verified that. So that's what we wanted to do, is just avoid any restricted area, and warning areas should be okay to go across. Plus there's a lot of crab pots through here, so we figured we were okay. But if it sounds too deep, there's plenty of water along here, even though it says it's 1 foot and that kind of thing. We never ran below 6.5 feet or so of water, and you can stay clear of this warning area. We could have ridden it all the way down in here and come across, but it is notably better right here than it is over here. So right now, we're headed across. You can see it's still kind of rough. We're rocking and rolling here. But this is 100% better than what it was over here. We've been able to increase our speed. Now that we've got pretty much the leeward side, this is the north end of the shore and so forth. I'm not even sure if I can do anything. But anyway, now that we've gotten to the northern shore and across here, the wind is coming from here. So now we can hug this shoreline here as the wind comes across, and the waves are much better than they were. See how good that? 1, 2 foot maybe. Had a good ride here. Before we had waves popping over the top of our bow, and it wasn't pleasant at all. Now we're headed straight up here. This is north, south. That was our original track that we were supposed to take. Impossible. Not for this boat. We had at least 5 foot in front coming across here. So now we're going to travel along here, and that's going to give us our route back home. Rounding the corner onto the Pasquotank River northbound, I wasn't sure what to expect, but the narrower body of water kept the waves to a minimum for our final leg home. Well, back home safe. Look. Get home, the sun comes out, everything lays down. But to be fair, This is the southern exposure right here, and the wind comes from over there. And when it does, it brings down our water level there, and but this is beautifully smooth, unless we end up with a southern wind. So anyway. Well, that completes our first long journey in the Aquila. 4 days from Elizabeth City to Belhaven to New Bern and back. It was great to do it with my wife, taking in new sights, some beautiful sunsets, and building wonderful memories. Oh, and we definitely learned a few things along the way. I can't wait for spring to do it all over again. Maybe we'll make it last a few more days this time. Until next time, thanks for watching. See ya!